Yo, what is going on, my friends? Back again with another video. Today I'm going to be breaking down my newest music video that I worked on. I did the editing for Wifisfuneral Genesis. I'm going to be taking you through the timeline. I'm going to show you the After Effects project files, point you to some tutorials that are going to help, as well as I'm just going to give you some more insight to my thought processing and just what I was doing and what I was trying to accomplish to try and keep the story moving forward. So just some more inside stuff that you don't really see in the tutorials. So as always, if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, join the community. If you guys enjoy these kind of videos, leave a like, helps the growth of this channel a huge amount. Also, if you guys are looking for any presets or plugins to help make your editing better, check out my website, link down below, mediamonopoly.co. We've got glow effects, we've got flicker effects, we've got transitions, we have everything you guys may need that's going to up your game, so check it out like I said. Anyways, let's hop right in here and we're going to start right away. So the version that we have here is a little bit different from the final cut. I actually moved some parts around at the end because they wanted to move some stuff to cover up some of the desert scenes. But anyways, we start off with him sitting on the couch right here, going in through the cup and just this cool little splash transition. I'm going to hop into After Effects and I'm going to show you exactly how we can create that. Okay, so here is the After Effects project file just for that little intro. So for the text itself, what I did was I used a font, FTY Scoresin, one of my favorite fonts. What I also did was I applied Element 3D from Video Copilot onto that font just to make it 3D, and then to tie that all together, what I did was I also added a little AV Club effect from the Universe pack. Fuzzy on the edges, just added this little kind of grain here, made it look like it's from like the 80s or the 70s, kind of like video game-ish. This Ethernet cord here, which is a 3D layer, and for all the 3D stuff you guys are going to see within this video, that's all done through Video Copilot Element 3D. Let me just show you that real quick, and then here is what that looks like. I actually extended it out just to make it long, and then I just animated a 3D camera just to move along that Ethernet cord. And I got all these from either TurboSquid, CG Trader, something along that line, just free stuff anyone can use. A lot of you may not know this, but in the Element 3D starter pack, what you can do is you can open up icons, and then there's a little Wi-Fi symbol right here. So we'll talk more about the 3D stuff later. I just want to mention, if any part of this breakdown that you would like me to make a full individual video for, let me know in the comment section down below. There's a huge amount of stuff we can cover here, but if there's something that stands out to you and you want me to show you a step-by-step guide, like I said, let me know. That's something I can definitely do. Our title sequence that I was talking about, all made with an Element 3D and also using an After Effects camera. Here's our first little sequence, and the main thing we got going on here is for my transitions, I'm using data moshing. I'll have a link down in the description where you guys can check out my full step-by-step guide on how to data mosh or how to data mosh, and it's basically just cycling through the shots we have here of him destroying the room with the bat. I kind of wanted to drag this one out just because I thought this was such a cool looking shot. We also have this little overlay here of the glass smashing. This is just a green screen clip, and you can find that on YouTube if you just look up HD green glass breaking particles. Looks awesome. I also added a sapphire glow and a sapphire flicker onto that. Some more slow motion stuff here. Here's another really cool part with this skull being 3D tracked. Now, if you guys saw my tutorial talking about how to use After Effects 3D cameras to create speed in a scene, definitely go watch that. Use that an insane amount in this video because a lot of it was shot on a tripod, so I just wanted to create my own speed to kind of match the flow of the video. Check that out, like I said. So we're gonna go hop back into After Effects, little composition that we got right here. So here's the skull that we got going on. Now, to kind of stamp it onto this picture, what I did was I used the After Effects camera tracker. Pretty simple. You just right click your footage, you go to track, stabilize, track camera. Like I said, links down in the description for all this if you do want to learn it. But for the skull itself, I used Element again. Let me show you what that looks like if we click scene setup. And here's the skull. I'm pretty sure I found this for free on TurboSquid. Just looked up free skull OBJ. Drag that in there, and then I also have that Wi-Fi symbol from the icon pack right here from Video Copilot. Also for this texture, what I used was some stuff from the Pro Shaders pack from Video Copilot. So that is how we designed together this cool little 3D skull, and then we just used the 3D tracking to stamp that in there. Now for all the movement we got going on here, like I said, check that out. Check out that video talking about how to create your own speed and movement. It's super useful because this is what it looks like normally if I don't have the camera on. As you can see, just a still shot pointing at the picture like that. So check out that video, and then here's what we got with the camera, just kind of whips around. Now this part here, this looks like it's all one shot, but in reality what I did was I just made a cut. So this is one individual shot, and then this right here is another shot, and normally it was just on a tripod just facing towards him with the bat. I used that After Effects camera so that it would zoom into the sign and then zoom out, so it looks like it's jumping from this scene to the other and then zooming out like that. So that's kind of like a cool little natural effect you guys can do just with an After Effects camera. And then what I did here, one of my favorite transitions in the whole video, we got some little displacement map going on, as well as some more camera work. We also have some flickering at the top. let's hop in After Effects again and I can show you a better breakdown of what's going on here. Okay, guys, so here's what we have. We have the camera in After Effects. That's all keyframed so that it would zoom into the right spot. And then at the very bottom here, we have the footage that is going to be behind all this. Now, what I did to create this little transition, it's actually pretty simple. All you need to do is just take your footage. Let's go to our effect controls and I'll show you. Set up a little displacement map, and then I used a mask so that the only place that was being affected by that displacement map was in this square, so this little area, and it would just kind of like distort, wipe away. It looks really cool. If you guys want a full tutorial on that, like I said, just let me know in the comments. Definitely something I could do, and it's definitely a cool effect. So since I was talking a little fast, let me just replay that whole sequence out for you. So bam, we got the camera with the 3D elements, zooms out, and then transitions just like that. So super cool sequence. Here we have some more data moshing, and also I used the After Effects camera to do that. This was the example I used in the tutorial talking about using movements and cameras. If you guys saw originally, this shot on a tripod and there was people standing in front of the camera. We'll use the After Effects camera to zoom in, follow the shot, as well as even zoom back in to follow the momentum, the bat, just like that. So like I said, check it out, link down below. Right here, simple little cloning. What I did was I just took one shot of him knocking over the TV. I rotoscoped it, and then I just placed that rotoscope layer on top of another shot of him just knocking this down, and we got this easy little clone effect. Okay guys, now here is the transition where we go from the destruction in the room scene to the craziness that is going into this crazy city. Now this part here by itself probably took me like 5 hours just to pull off, maybe even longer than that. This entire thing took about 48 hours, but this part I really wanted to pay attention to because this was the key transitioning part. This is when he really started going off in the song, so I wanted to pick up the energy, add some really crazy stuff. So a quick little breakdown before we hop into After Effects, and then I show how I really did it. We have a walk in here, just using some After Effects cameras for the zooming. Now for him to actually be sucked into the cup, it just has liquefy onto it. As you see, let's go to our effect controls, liquefy, keyframe that, distort RGB as well, and this is just a duplication of our normal footage. If I drag along, you see how it's getting stretched. If I hide that layer, you'll see it's literally just a duplication that is liquefied. Okay guys, now for the part with the cup, this part took an extremely long time to pull off. What I did was I used a mixture of this Element 3D cup, I used a little After Effects project file, an ocean with a camera in it, and then I changed the color to green, just used some masking to put it in the cup. And then for the person falling in, I used a mixture of Photoshop and the puppet tool to make it look like Wifisfuneral is falling in. As we go down here, we have the camera flip up like that, and you see him floating down through the cup while he's looking back up at himself, and then it just kind of zooms back in as we go through this long tunnel just like that. So here's what the composition of that entire thing looks like. A bunch of different layers, like I said, I think over like 30 layers here, and I used a different composition for the actual figure, different composition for all this. Now let me just show you behind the scenes of how some of this worked. Let's open this up. This is what I used for the cup. Now this is actually a mug, but I masked out just the kind of loop here, and just the way the camera was, it looked like there is a styrofoam cup here, also with the texture that I used. Okay guys, so to get it in the water, here's what I did. Put the mug within that ocean, and then I just created a camera within After Effects to create the shots that I wanted. Also colored the water, put it together through some different compositions as well as a bunch of masking. Go ahead and go to layer, new, and then camera, and that way we can now move around and I can show you exactly what it looks like. So just basically took a lot of positioning the camera, the cup, and the water the way that I wanted it to so that I could get these shots. Also use some overlays from Footage Crate to get the water splashing up at the camera. Let's play this out a little bit more. And there we go. So for the character himself, what I did, this is what I actually did. So this is literally just a picture of somebody floating underwater. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to find a picture that matched really what I was looking for, and floating down into the water at this angle. This is the only picture I could find. Like I said, this isn't a video, just a little picture. So what I did was I went on Photoshop, and then I just kind of put together all the clothes that he was wearing in the original scene. So we have the camo pants, Photoshop that on. We have the hoodie. I used this picture of him as the reference for the hair, and then I put that all in using Photoshop. So I'll just bring these layers back and you guys will be able to see. So there's the pants, there's the hoodie, arms of the hoodie, and then also the shoes, hat, and then the hair for the back. Also the Wifisfuneral logo on the back there. And that's how we did that. Now to make it kind of move a little bit, what I did was I masked him out and I used the puppet tool, keyframe that just to kind of make the arms and the legs moving a little bit, make it look like he's just floating downward. And I think it turned out pretty good. The limbs turned out a little bit noodly, but for the most part, I honestly think it looks pretty cool. All right, and then bam, now we have this crazy tunnel going on here. And this is using the same Element 3D model of the actual cup that I was showing you before. But this time we threw in those skulls from this previous scene. Also used the sapphire zap effect coming out of this 3D model of the Ethernet, and then we go through here and then we teleport through the Ethernet into the city. Now let's go ahead and break that down. Top into After Effects here, let me show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, this is the same skull. I just copied and pasted it from the other shot that we put together. Here's the little scene setup of it, and to change the colors of them, I just added a little hue saturation effect, and if we cycle that, you guys can see you can change it to any cool looking color. I think it actually turned out pretty good. I used the 3D camera tracker just to track it into space right there. Also added this little overlay from footagecrate.com, this little paint thing, just to kind of distract the eye a bit right before we get to the Ethernet, and then bam, we got some flickering, glowing. Now we used Metropolitan here, and then I also used parts of the ocean to kind of put it in front of it. Added a little lightning overlay. I added parts of the sea and just masked it so that it's in the shape of the Ethernet. We also have this kind of splash overlay and then this other splash overlay, and it happens really quick. Just have Metropolitan behind it, and then bam, now we are in our city. Okay guys, so here is our sci-fi city, and I basically just used the normal Metropolitan method from Video Copilot that I talk about in the tutorial link down below, but I added some little sci-fi color grading. I messed around with the colors a bit. Also added these 3D tracked in little 3D bubbles, just so I can really keep the vibe of like we're in this underwater like lean city. And when we get to the very top right here, you guys are gonna see we have these cool little neon signs that we got going on here, and I actually changed these in Photoshop just to actually say what I wanted to say. Now let me get rid of this camera and let's create a new camera just so I can really show you what the entire city looks like from scratch. So this is what our city looks like, and as you can see, looks pretty cool. We have all these kind of like neon. I kind of mixed together different textures for the buildings themselves just to kind of create this futuristic look. We also have these 3D tracked little bubbles in here. Added a little turbulent displace just to really make it look like it's underwater. Now another thing that I want to mention here, guys, is these signs. Now I added these neon signs in myself, and I'm pretty sure I found a pack of them on TurboSquid. If I find the link, I'll link it down in the description. Just aesthetic designs. Now let's go ahead and click on the city itself, and let's go into our effect controls, scene setup, and you guys are going to see the actual rough design of the city itself. So here we are, and then this is the custom one that I went into Photoshop and created. And then it's pretty simple. All you need to do is just follow along with the Metropolitan tutorial I talked about on creating these buildings, these cities, and download a sign pack or any other thing you want free on TurboSquid or CG Trader, and just mix it into the city. You can really create your own awesome sci-fi looking city. I'm definitely going to make a full tutorial on this moving forward, so expect that. That's one I know I really want to make because there's so much stuff you can work on and keep building on with this. And then the only thing you really need to know is just using these coordinates to just position it where you want. Also, another important thing is once you do that, you need to make sure you use your camera to find exactly what you did, which is the kind of tricky part. Okay guys, so for this part right here, this is one of my favorite parts in the entire music video. The part where he kind of jumps up onto the building, struck with the lightning. You can see the skeleton in there, and also we have these giant awesome looking wings in the background. Just a really cool shot overall. Now to pull this off, let me go ahead and just show you the original footage that I had to work with this so that you guys get a little better idea of what we were doing. So this was just done basically using a lot of masking, and this is the original footage. We have him standing on this box in front of a green screen, and then what he does is he just jumps off the box just like that. Now to be able to pull off everything, what I did was I just keyed out the green, I masked out all this extra stuff that we didn't need, and then I also had to mask out the box, which was pretty tricky because I had to hand mask his shoes, which you guys are going to see. I also did rotoscoping for the body itself so that I could be able to get these wings behind the body layer. And then for the background itself, I just took a piece of that city, I placed a camera in this original city that I designed, and it was pretty simple. It just kind of zooms up. And since our footage was him jumping off a box, but I wanted him jumping up on a ledge, what I did was I just reversed the footage so that he'd be going up, and then use masking just to cut him off from the actual line where he does jump up there. So that's how I put that all together. Basically the best way to explain it to some simple keying and compositing and just a ton of masking. I'm gonna link some of my best masking videos talking about rotoscoping, 3 different ways to mask in the description down below. Let's go ahead and move on here. Okay guys, so from here on what I did is we just have some more shots of the actual city that I was talking about, some more shots of him in the car with the green screen behind it. Like I said, with those signs, I used Photoshop to put him in here and just kind of design my own sign off of that, kind of like a little presidential campaign thing, and then just using a bunch of cameras to really mesh things together. Now this is just a normal shot of a green screen car. Play that through, kind of zooms underneath, and like I said, this is all green screen. You can find this all on my free green screen pack on my website. Bam, zoom through the window there. That's just using an After Effects camera and a glass overlay. Now for this part right here, what I did was I just masked him out, and I used an effect called Universe Holomatrix to create this cool kind of purple stuff going on here. I also just used the city that I designed earlier, just used some 3D camera tracking to place him there. Also, just some more B-roll stuff of going through the city, and the reason why I'm kind of just playing through here is basically it's just reusing a lot of stuff that I already talked about. Here, I use it again. I use that holomatrix stuff, and I just masked it into the part of him with the building, like that, and that was a pretty cool effect right there with all the crazy like little glitch stuff. Now this part right here, super cool. Here's another transition into another part. This is when the next verse starts. So he looks up, and we have this part here where he's just stopped, and what I did was I used an After Effects camera and I raise it up so it looks like all the way up past these buildings, and as we go up, you look in the sky, and then we got this crazy transition. So normally this was all just desert stuff, but in the final cut what I did was I moved the beginning scenes with all the data moshing and all that, put this in front of the desert stuff so it's kind of like a little flashback, and then I added the official transition to the desert scenes here where this little sign distortion was, just like that. So for the desert scenes, just pretty simple stuff. I spent like 40 hours plus at this point, so I was trying to keep it more simple and not like overload it, but at the same time just give it good quality. Got some cool just like trippy things. We also have this little green screen clip here. I used an After Effects camera and then a green screen clip just from YouTube of an alien thing. Bam, and then I used that to transition into the data mosh clips that I was already talking about before. Now we're also using some little freeze frames here. Recently I made some videos talking about freeze frames, some little glow, flash transitions, just some of the transitions that I really like using a lot. And from there, that's about it. I kind of wanted to tease the ending where he gets sucked into the UFO, so I just made these little green screen UFOs fly past him a lot. And then here is our ending where he gets sucked up into the UFO, and that looked pretty cool. That's all just a green screen. For him getting sucked in, I used just the liquefied tool. And that's how it ended. Wakes up, gets sucked out of the cup, and then bam, that's the ending. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you did. If there's any part of this that stood out to you and you want me to go more into detail more and to talk about it more. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.